Richard the Lionheart, the chivalrous king of England, and Genghis Khan, the fearless conqueror of the Mongol Empire, were legendary figures from history, each known for their distinctive leadership and military prowess. The time difference between their reign is not even a decade, so it is safe to say they both lived in the same time period. Even though they lived in the same time period, Khan's army was 10 times the size of Richard's. A clash between them wouldn't have been fair, but what if Richard had, say, 100,000 soldiers? Could he defeat the great Khan? Today, we are going to explore their lives, strategies, and answer the intriguing question: what if these two titans of history were to meet on the battlefield with an army of equal size? Who would win? Richard the Lionheart ruled during the late 12th century and was a prominent figure in the Kingdom of England. He is widely celebrated for his role in the Third Crusade, where his chivalric character and military prowess came to the forefront. Richard's leadership was marked by personal valor and his ability to inspire his troops through his own acts of bravery. For instance, during Crusade War, he led his knights in a decisive charge against Saladin's forces at the Battle of Arsuf, rallying his troops to victory. Richard's unwavering determination to reclaim Jerusalem and his adherence to the code of chivalry were hallmarks of his leadership. Another illustration of Richard's leadership can be seen in his diplomatic skills. While returning from the Holy Land, he was captured in Austria and held for ransom. His ability to negotiate his own release and maintain the unity of his kingdom during his absence demonstrated his political acumen. Genghis Khan, originally named Temujin, rose from humble beginnings on the Mongolian steppe to become the founder of the Mongol Empire in the early 13th century. His leadership was characterized by innovation and adaptability in warfare. Genghis Khan organized the Mongol armies into a highly disciplined and mobile force, expertly using tactics like feigned retreats to lure enemies into ambushes. One notable example of his strategic brilliance was the Battle of Khwarezm, where his forces defeated a much larger Khwarezmian army through precise coordination and maneuvering. Genghis Khan's leadership extended beyond the battlefield. He introduced administrative reforms, fostering the growth and stability of his empire. Genghis Khan's leadership extended beyond the battlefield. He introduced a code of laws known as the Yasa, which helped govern the Mongol Empire. This legal system contributed to the stability and cohesion of his vast territory. Richard the Lionheart's approach embodied the chivalric ideals of his era. He led his knights by personal example, fearlessly charging into battle and inspiring loyalty through his unwavering dedication. Genghis Khan, in contrast, excelled in unconventional tactics and psychological warfare. He was adept at uniting disparate Mongol tribes and forging them into a formidable fighting force, showcasing his diplomatic and military acumen. Richard the Lionheart, as the King of England in the late 12th century, commanded a formidable feudal army typical of the European medieval period. His forces comprised heavily armored knights, renowned for their skill in mounted combat and adherence to chivalric codes. These knights formed the core of his cavalry, armored both in chainmail and plate armor, wielding lances and swords. Richard's infantry consisted of foot soldiers and crossbowmen. His strategy often involved using his well-trained knights for shock charges, leveraging the strength of his infantry for defense, and employing siege engines in prolonged campaigns. While the knights were a symbol of martial excellence, the sheer cost of equipping and maintaining them presented a logistical challenge. These knights formed the core of his cavalry, which, at its peak, numbered around 2,000 knights. Additionally, Richard's infantry consisted of foot soldiers and crossbowmen, with an estimated total army size of approximately 10,000 to 15,000 soldiers. For the sake of this video, we will assume that Richard had 100,000 soldiers equal to that of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, on the other hand, led the armies of the Mongol Empire during the early 13th century, and his military tactics were revolutionary for their time. At the height of his power, Genghis Khan's forces numbered between 100,000 to 150,000 warriors, although the exact numbers are subject to debate. The Mongol army was renowned for its exceptional cavalry, skilled in mounted archery. These horse-mounted warriors were light and agile, armed with powerful composite bows. Mobility was paramount to the Mongols. They could unleash devastating volleys of arrows while galloping at high speeds. This hit-and-run tactic, combined with the ability to feign retreats and regroup quickly, made the Mongols formidable opponents. They also employed light cavalry for scouting and harassment, infantry for direct engagements, and siege units when necessary. One of their significant strengths was adaptability, allowing them to traverse diverse terrains and confront different types of enemies effectively. Richard the Lionheart presided over a European medieval kingdom that had developed notable advancements in siege warfare. His forces had access to sophisticated siege technology, including trebuchets, mangonels, and battering rams. These siege engines allowed Richard to lay effective sieges, breach fortified walls, and overcome heavily defended positions. Richard's army also possessed advanced armor and weaponry for the time, with knights clad in chainmail and plate armor, wielding longswords and lances. These technological advantages provided Richard with a strong offensive capability and reinforced the might of his cavalry charges. Genghis Khan didn't rely on advanced siege technology like that seen in Europe. Instead, the Mongols' technological edge lay in their mastery of mounted archery and innovative tactics. The Mongol cavalry, armed with composite bows, were unmatched in their ability to unleash a barrage of arrows while on the move. Their expertise in feigned retreats and rapid regrouping allowed them to outmaneuver and disorient adversaries. The Mongols also had a sophisticated system of communication through signal fires and mounted messengers, enabling swift coordination across vast distances. In comparing these technological advantages, it's evident that while Richard had access to established siege technology, Genghis Khan's forces possessed more adaptable and innovative means of warfare. The ability to employ psychological warfare, swift cavalry maneuvers, and long-range archery was a distinctive strength of the Mongols. It also to note that siege technologies might not be useful as we think, since we are assuming they would meet on the battlefield. Suppose the battle unfolds in the Holy Land during the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart's European army is stationed within a formidable castle surrounded by high walls. As rumors of Genghis Khan's approaching Mongol horde spread, tension mounts within the castle. The walls are not easily breachable, and the defenders have 1,000 archers who could, if used strategically, defend against the oncoming 100,000 Mongols. However, the Mongols lack siege machines, making a breach of the castle's walls a challenging endeavor. Richard's forces would find themselves in a well-fortified position. Victory for Richard might involve using the fortified position's defensive advantages to neutralize the numerical gap. His advanced siege technology can be effectively employed to repel Mongol assaults. To win, Richard's forces need to maintain discipline and protect infantry and archers from Mongol hit-and-run attacks. But Mongols have archers too. It is very likely that they could rain down with arrows on the castle. Even if the Mongols do not have any way to breach the wall, there is very good chance they could slowly wear down the Richard's army. The chances for a win or defend the castle would be very slim for Richard's army. But what if Richard's army size was 100,000, equal as Mongols? Richard's forces could further fortify their position. While the size advantage helps, it is essential to remember that the Mongols still hold a significant numerical superiority. In this scenario, Richard's larger force can better withstand initial Mongol assaults and effectively employ advanced siege technology. To secure victory, Richard's strategy would involve defending the fortified position and countering Mongol encirclement tactics. His larger army can outlast the Mongol logistical capacity, potentially forcing the Mongols to withdraw or surrender. This was if Mongol decided to attack a fortified position of Richard's. But what if Richard's European army ventures onto the vast Eurasian steppe, an environment vastly different from their homeland, and met Genghis Khan's Mongol force on unfamiliar terrain? Well, it is needless to say the battle would end very swiftly and Richard's army would perish. But if Richard had the army size of 100,000 soldiers, Richard's forces could establish a more significant presence on the steppe, potentially leveling the playing field to some extent. While the Mongols maintained their advantages in mobility and archery, the size of Richard's army would create a more balanced engagement. Victory for Richard in this scenario becomes more plausible, although it would still be a formidable challenge. Assuming at least 10,000 of the Richard's army be cavalry, the larger European army could better withstand Mongol assaults and resist harassment. The battle would be bloody and thousands would die. However, even if the Richard's army was 100,000, once his cavalry is gone, the Mongols using their hit and run tactics could toy with the remaining army. Richard's knights usually wore chainmail, but most of the army didn't. So, even though Mongols could find the knights a little difficult to defeat, but slowly they could wear them down, then the infantry would have been no match for the horde. I mean, it would be like fighting Dothraki on the open field. You can't win. I think the outcome will be in favor of Genghis Khan, but I will let you decide this one. What do you think? Could Richard win against the Great Khan? From what we have seen, it appears the only way Richard could win is if he was defending from a highly fortified position with an army size of at least 50,000 if not 100,000. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments. That's all for today. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like, share and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss out my future videos. Thanks for watching, and have a great day ahead.